Hey guys, this is Jeremy from MainTakeAway, and in this video we're going to be talking about Drive by Daniel Pink. In this video, you will learn how the carrot and the stick is not what actually motivates people, what intrinsically motivates your employees and people in general, how to manage people and get them to produce your desired outcomes, and everything about what motivates people. Rewards. When money is used as an external reward for some activity, the subjects lose intrinsic interest for the activity. Rewards can deliver a short-term boost, just as a jolt of caffeine can keep you cranking for a few more hours, but the effect wears off, and worse, can reduce a person's long-term motivation to continue the project. Intrinsic motivation. Human beings have an inherent tendency to seek out novelty and challenges, to extend and exercise their capacities, to explore and to learn. But this third drive was more fragile than the other two. It needed the right environment to survive. One who is interested in developing and enhancing intrinsic motivation in children, employees, students, etc., should not concentrate on external control systems such as monetary rewards. What is the most pervasive driver? Lakhani and Wolf uncovered a range of motives, but they found that enjoyment-based intrinsic motivation, namely how creative a person feels when working on a project, is the strongest and most pervasive driver. The fun of mastering the challenge of a given software problem and the desire to give a gift to the programmer community was the strongest driver. The study of people. Economics is not the study of money. It is the study of behavior. In the course of a day, each of us was constantly figuring the cost/benefits of our actions and then deciding how to act. Economists studied what people did rather than what we said, says Bruno Frey, an economist at the University of Zurich. An algorithmic task is one in which you follow a set of established instructions down a single pathway to one conclusion. That is, there's an algorithm for solving it. A heuristic task is the opposite. Precisely because no algorithm exists for it, you have to experiment with possibilities and devise a novel solution. People have to earn a living. Salary, contract payments, some benefits, a few more perks are what I call baseline rewards. If someone's baseline rewards aren't adequate or quittable, her focus will be on the unfairness of her situation and the anxiety of her circumstance. You'll get neither the predictability of extrinsic motivation nor the weirdness of intrinsic motivation. You'll get very little motivation at all. But once we're past that threshold, carrots and sticks can achieve precisely the opposite of their intended aims. Mechanisms designed to increase motivation can dampen it. Tactics aimed to boost creativity can reduce it. Meanwhile, instead of restraining negative behavior, rewards and punishments can often set it loose and give rise to cheating, addiction, and dangerously myopic thinking. The rewards paradox. Rewards by their very nature narrow our focus. They're helpful when there's a clear path to a solution. They help us stare ahead and race faster. The less evidence of extrinsic motivation during art school, the more success in professional art, both several years after graduation and nearly 20 years later. Those artists who pursued their paintings and sculptures more from the pleasure of activity itself than for extrinsic rewards have produced art that has been socially recognized as superior. It is those who are the least motivated to pursue extrinsic rewards who eventually receive them. The carrot and the stick. By offering a reward, a principle signals to the agent that the task is undesirable. 7 deadly flaws of the carrot and the stick. 1. They can extinguish intrinsic motivation. 2. They can diminish performance. 3. They can crush creativity. 4. They can crowd out good behavior. 5. They can encourage cheating, shortcuts, and unethical behavior. 6. They can become addictive. 7. They can foster short-term thinking. Your best approach is to have already established the conditions of a genuinely motivating environment. The baseline rewards must be sufficient. That is, the team's basic compensation must be adequate and fair, particularly compared with people doing similar work for similar companies. Your nonprofit must be a congenial place to work, and the people on your team must have autonomy. They must have ample opportunity to pursue mastery, and their daily duties must relate to a larger purpose. If these elements are in place, the best strategy is to provide a sense of urgency and significance, and then get out of talent's way. Psychological needs. There are three innate psychological needs: competence, autonomy, and relatedness. When those needs are satisfied, we're motivated, productive, and happy. When they're thwarted, everything plummets. When people use rewards to motivate, that's when they're most demotivating. Instead, Tessie and Ryan say we should focus on our efforts on creating environments for our innate psychological needs to flourish. Hundreds of research papers point to the same conclusion. Human beings have an innate drive to be autonomous, self-determined, and connected to one another. What motivation do you have? People oriented towards autonomy and intrinsic motivation have higher self-esteem, better interpersonal relationships, and greater general well-being than those who are extrinsically motivated. By contrast, people whose core aspirations are type X validations such as money, fame, or beauty tend to have poorer psychological health. Managing people. Resist the temptation to control people, and instead do everything we can to reawaken their deep-seated sense of autonomy. A sense of autonomy has a powerful effect on individual performance and attitude. According to a cluster of recent behavioral science studies, autonomous motivation promotes greater conceptual understanding, better grades, enhanced persistence at school and in sporting events, and greater levels of psychological well-being. Researchers at Cornell University studied 320 small businesses, half of which granted workers autonomy and the other half relying on top-down direction. The business that offered autonomy grew at 4 times the rate of the control-oriented firms and had 1/3 the turnover. Being in flow. Throughout my athletic career, the overall goal was always to be a better athlete than I was at that moment, whether next week, next month, or next year. The improvement was the goal. The medal was simply the ultimate reward for achieving that goal. Sebastian Coe, middle distance runner and 2-time Olympic gold medal winner. In flow, the relationship between what a person had to do and what he could do was perfect. The challenge wasn't too easy, nor was it too difficult. It was a notch or two beyond his current abilities, which stretched the body and mind in a way that made the effort itself the most delicious reward. That balance produced a degree of focus and satisfaction. Effort. Those who did the best typically spend the most time and effort on the mundane activities. Effort is one of the things that gives meaning to life. Effort means you care about something, that something is important to you, and you are willing to work for it. Mastery is a symptom, which is a continuous process. Purpose. Pursue purpose, and use profit as a catalyst rather than the objective. A healthy society and healthy business organization begins with purpose and considers profit a way to move towards that end or a happy byproduct of its attainment. At the end of each day, ask yourself whether you were better today than you were yesterday. Becoming effective. Seek constant critical feedback. If you don't know how you're doing, you won't know what to improve. Focus ruthlessly on where you need help. Get compensation right, and then get it out of sight. Effective organizations compensate people in amounts and in ways that allow individuals to mostly forget about compensation and instead focus on the work itself. Getting compensation right. The most important aspect of any compensation package is fairness. And here, fairness comes in 2 varieties, internal and external. Internal fairness means paying people commensurate with their colleagues. External fairness means paying people in line with others doing similar work in similar companies. Paying great people a little more than the market demands at Kurloff and Yellen found could attract better talent, reduce turnover, and boost productivity and morale. 4 practices for a culture where self-motivation can flourish. 1. Lead with questions, not answers. 2. Engage in dialogue and debate, not coercion. 3. Conduct autopsies without blame. 4. Build red flag mechanisms. In other words, make it easy for employees and customers to speak up when they identify a problem. What's your takeaway? Click on the link below to get it from Amazon and give your own comment about the book. Share this info with someone who needs it on Facebook. Tweet at MainTakeAway about what you learned or how you're going to implement it in your business. Or share a comment below about the video on what you liked or disliked. You can get this on Amazon for $10.88 new and $9.09 used. You can click on the link below to buy it. It's rated a 4.3 out of 5 stars by 333 people. That's the main takeaway for Drive by Daniel Pink.